Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Grantraj Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki Jai, Samaved Bhaktivedanta ki Jai. Hare Krishna everyone. So today we'll be reading from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 5. Our focus will be on text number 3, but since 3 does not have a purport, then we will go from 3 to 5 because 5 has a purport. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tatho Jayamudhirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavatir Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. So text 3 goes as follows. Ambarishon Vacha Tvamagnir Bhagavan Suryas Tvam Somo Jyotisham Patihi Tvam Apas Tvam Shitir Vyoma Vayur Matrendriyani Cha. Ambarishon Vacha Tvamagnir Bhagavan Suryas Tvam Somo Jyotisham Patihi Tvam Apas Tvam Shitir Vyoma Vayur Matrendriyani Cha. Ambarishon Vacha Tvamagnir Bhagavan Suryas Tvam Somo Jyotisham Patihi Tvam Apas Tvam Shitir Vyoma Vayur Matrendriyani Cha. Ambarishon Vacha Tvamagnir Bhagavan Suryas Tvam Somo Jyotisham Patihi Tvam Apas Tvam Shitir Vyoma Vayur Matrendriyani Cha. Ambarishon Vacha Tvamagnir Bhagavan Suryas Tvam Somo Jyotisham Patihi Tvam Apas Tvam Shitir Vyoma Vayur Matrendriyani Cha. Ambarishon Vacha Tvamagnir Bhagavan Suryas Tvam Somo Jyotisham Patihi Tvam Apas Tvam Shitir Vyoma Vayur Matrendriyani Cha. Matajis. Ambarisham Vacha Tvam Agnir Bhagavan Suryas Tvam Somo Jyotisham Patihi Tvam Mapas Tvam Shitir Vyoma Vayurmatrendriyani Cha Ambarisham Vacha Tvam Agnir Bhagavan Suryas Tvam Somo Jyotisham Patihi Tvam Mapas Tvam Shitir Vyoma Vayurmatrendriyani Cha Ambarisham Vacha Tvam Agnir Bhagavan Suryas Tvam Somo Jyotisham Patihi Tvam Apas Tvam Shitir Vyoma Vayurmatrendriyani Cha Ambarish, Maharaj Ambarish, Uvacha, said, Tvam, you are, Agni, the fire, Bhagavan, the most powerful, Suryaha, the sun, Tvam, you are, Soma, the moon, Jyotisham, of all the luminaries, Patihi, the master, Tvam, you are, Apaha, water, Tvam, you are, Shitihi, earth, Vyoma, sky, Vayuhu, the air, Matra, the objects of the senses, Indriyani, and the senses, Cha, also. Translation. Maharaj Ambarish said, O Sudarshan Chakra, you are fire. You are the most powerful sun, and you are the moon, the master of all luminaries. You are water, earth and sky. You are the air. You are the 5 sense objects: sound, touch, form, taste and smell. And you are the senses also. There is no purport to this, so we'll read the next translation. Sudarshana namastubhyam sahasrarachyuta priyah sarvastra ghatin vipraya swasti bhuya idaspate. O most favorite of Achyuta, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, you have thousands of spokes. O Master of the material world, destroyer of all weapons, original vision of the Personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Kindly give me shelter and be auspicious to this Brahmana. Text 5. Tvam dharmas, tvam ritam satyam, tvam yagnyo, akhila yagyabhuk, tvam lokapalaha sarvatma, tvam tejah paurusham param. O Sudarshana wheel, you are religion, you are truth, you are encouraging statements, you are sacrifice, and you are the enjoyer of the fruits of sacrifice. You are the maintainer of the entire universe, and you are the supreme transcendental prowess in the hands of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You are the original vision of the Lord, and therefore you are known as Sudarshana. Everything has been created by your activities, and therefore you are all pervading. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. The word Sudarshan means auspicious vision. From Vedic instructions, we understand that this material world is created by the glance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sa aikshata, sa asarjata. Asarjata. The Supreme Personality of Godhead glanced over the Mahat Tattva or the total material energy, and when it was agitated, everything came into existence. Western philosophers sometimes think that the original cause of creation was a chunk that exploded. If one thinks of this chunk as the total material energy, the Mahat Tattva, one can understand that the chunk was agitated by the glance of the Lord. And thus, the Lord's glance is the original cause of material creation. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripatam Maham Vande Sri Guru Dinatarinam. Vanchakalpatarobhyascha Kripa Sindhobhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So before I begin, I would like to thank all of you for all the support that as congregation members, as many of my brothers and sisters here have provided to me during my time of grief, the biggest blow of my life. All of you stood by me, and that is why I am able to stand strong and sit in front of all of you. So thanks to each one of you for your kind support. Even when we went to Mayapur for the Asti Visarjan ceremony, some of you were there in Mayapur. So I felt the hand of Radha Vallabha there also. So thanks very much. I am seeking all your blessings so that I can speak something for the pleasure of all the assembled Vaishnavas, Srila Prabhupada, the deities, and for my own purification. Ambarisham Vacha Tvam Agnir Bhagavan Suryas Tvam Samo Jyotisham Patihi Tvam Apas Tvam Shitir Vyoma Vayur Matrendriyanicha. Maharaj Ambarish said, O Sudarshan Chakra, you are fire, you are the most powerful sun, and you are the moon, the master of all luminaries. You are water, earth, and sky. You are the air. You are the five sense objects: sound, touch, form, taste, and smell, and you are the senses also. So, very briefly, all of you know the context because so many people have been giving the classes in so many days. But just to get a rhythm, Durvasa Muni has visited Ambarish Maharaj. He mentioned to Ambarish Maharaj, I'll go and take a bath. It was Dwadashi day. Ambarish Maharaj said, okay. Durvasa Muni went. He took his bath. He took a little longer to take his bath because it is said he was in Samadhi. And then he returned. By the time for fasting was getting very close, so Ambarish Maharaj, in consultation with the Brahmanas, took a sip of water just to break his fast and comply with the vidhi. However, when Durvasa Muni returned to Ambarish Maharaj's palace, Durvasa Muni took offense to Ambarish Maharaj taking this small sip of water to break his fast. And in his anger, Durvasa Muni pulled out a demon from his jata, a fiery demon. However, the fiery demon could not do any harm to Ambarish Maharaj. On the other hand, the Lord was watching this and he wanted to protect his devotee. So he unleashed the Sudarshan Chakra. And the Sudarshan Chakra is chasing Durvasa Muni all over the three worlds. He is running here and there. He went to Brahmaji, he couldn't do anything. He went to Lord Shiva, could not do anything. He went to Vishnu, could not do anything. So the instruction was to go back to the Vaishnava who you have offended. And then he comes back to Ambarish Maharaj. And Ambarish Maharaj on his side, and we'll talk a little bit later about Ambarish Maharaj's mood in detail, but Ambarish Maharaj now is praying to Sudarshan Chakra to save Durvasa Muni. So, this is this pastime, all of you know it. So we'll pick up the thread from today's verse where Ambarish Maharaj's prayers to Sudarshan Chakra are going on. Until 5 at least he's praying, maybe beyond that also he's continuing his prayers. Looks like he is continuing his prayers. So this section has got several themes from the reference point of each personality involved. There are so many personalities involved in any Śrīmad Bhāgavatam pastime, but 3 primary personalities are involved in this pastime. Durvasa Muni, the offender, Ambarish Maharaj, the impacted, in one sense, the person unto whom the aggression was unleashed, so that is Ambarish Maharaj. And then the third is the instrument, the Sudarshan Chakra. So these are the 3 personalities. So we'll take up these 3 themes today. The first theme that we will talk about is from the point of view of Durvasa Muni. The theme is Vaishnava Aparadha, which is not something which we are discussing first time in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam class. Over the years, over donkey years, we have discussed this, and we continue to discuss this. Every day in the morning program, we say the first offense is to blaspheme a devotee engaged in, propagating the holy names of the Lord. So this point of Vaishnava Aparadha is continuously hammered, and we have heard so many instructions in this matter. So we will talk a little bit more about Vaishnava Aparadha, given that the theme from Durvasa Muni's reference point of view has got quite a lot to do with Vaishnava offense. We will talk about the poor example that Durvasa Muni is setting, a poor example of Sadachar that is being demonstrated by Durvasa Muni. And subsequently we will also talk about the high Vaishnava Sadachar, which reflects in the sublime character of Maharaj Ambarish. So we are talking 2 extremes here now. And then we will end our class with some discussion on the potency of Sudarshan Chakra, unto who Maharaj Ambarish is currently directing his prayers to in this set of verses. Bhakti Sir Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Welcome back. I know you came before me here, but Very happy to see you. Very happy. So we'll start talking about on the theme of Vaishnava Aparadha. So, if we ask why we commit Vaishnava Aparadhas, many people will have several reasons. A lot of reasons will come in mind. The first reason, usually people will say it's pride. Right? Pride causes Vaishnava Aparadha. When one thinks that one is in a position of authority and when one has a bhava that I am superior, then many times Vaishnava Aparadha is triggered from that mentality that we have. So several causes are mentioned, but one of the primary causes of Vaishnava Aparadha comes out very clearly in the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam through the form of a verse personally spoken by Lord Vishnu himself. This is from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 16, Text 2, 3.16.2. The chapter is the famous chapter called as Jai and Vijay, cursed by the sages, where Lord Vishnu is personally explaining what is the reason, core reason behind the tendency to commit Vaishnava offense. So, Lord Vishnu is explaining this by using the words Kadarti Krityamam. Kadarti Krityamam. Meaning that the root cause of Vaishnava Aparadha is a devotee not ignoring another devotee, but a devotee ignoring Bhagavan himself. The root cause of Vaishnava Aparadha is a devotee ignoring me, he says, Lord Vishnu. Kadarti Kritya Mam. Meaning, and he adds the words Akritam Atikramam. Bahu, in fact he uses the word Bahu Akratam Atikramam. So, the tendency to commit this very serious offense comes from the tendency to overstep a superior personality. And Lord says, I am the highest superior personality, Mam. So when someone ignores me and what I love and what I don't love, at that time one tends to commit Vaishnava Aparadha. So in his own words, he says, these attendants of mine, who are these attendants? Jai and Vijay. These attendants of mine, Jai and Vijay, by name, have committed a great offense against you because of ignoring me, he says. So, when we offend a sincere Vaishnava, we not only hurt that Vaishnava, but also we hurt the Supreme Lord who is protecting that Vaishnava. It's just like, for example, if I hurt you severe in some way, who is going to get most offended? Your parents, right? Of course, your sister also will get offended, your brother will also get offended, but most offense will be taken by your parents. So, Lord Krishna is the Supreme Father. So, when we offend each other, then he gets most offended. So, therefore, whose interest is being ignored most? Krishna's interest. So, Lord says, ignoring me is the cause of Vaishnava Aparadha. So, Prabhupada comments that because we forget that the Lord is in the heart of every Vaishnava, the Lord is in the heart of every Vaishnava, and each and every Vaishnava is in the heart of the Lord. Because we keep forgetting that, that's why we commit Vaishnava offense. Sadhavo hridayam mahyam, sadhunam hridayam tva aham. I am in the hearts of my devotees and my devotees are in my heart. So, forgetfulness of this principle leads to Vaishnava offense. So, yesterday, Bhakti Purushottam Swami Maharaj very nicely explained the yoga ladder. I don't know how many of you heard the class yesterday. Yeah, he was explaining the yoga ladder. No? He talked about Jnana, then Karma Yoga, then Jnana Kand, then Jnana Yoga, and so on and so forth. Right? So, very systematically Maharaj explained that. Now, if you really focus on Ashtanga Yoga as a process, and there's a reason why we are discussing that here. In Ashtanga Yoga, there are so many 8 stages. What are the stages? Yam. Yam means what? Yam and Niyam. What has to be avoided and what has to be followed. It's just like that. In surrender we say, no? Anukulesa sankalpa pratikulesa varjanam. The equivalent of that. Yam and Niyam. And then Asana. Asana means the various postures to attain the Supreme Lord. Pranayam. Pranayam means the breathing techniques. By breath control, then we try to control our mind and therefore focus on the Lord in an unwavering fashion. Pratyahar, withdrawal of the senses, sense control. And then dharana. Dharana means concentration on the object of what you want to attain. And dhyan. Dhyan means meditation. And finally, samadhi. Samadhi. Samadhi means, it comes from the word samadha. Samadha means to collect or bring together. To collect or bring together. So to assimilate, to bring together all your attention and achieve the highest level of concentration on the object of whatever you are seeking through that particular yoga. On the object of whatever you are seeking to connect with, because yoga means to connect. So who are you trying to connect with? The Supreme. So samadhi means to collect or bring together. A stage of intense concentration in which union with the divine is eventually reached, if you go through that process properly. So some of the early Buddhist texts associate samadhi with the term samta. Samta means what? Calm and abiding. Samata. So now why are we discussing this? You may be wondering. So if you remember, prior to unleashing his anger at Ambarish Maharaj, what was Durvasa Muni doing? He was taking his bath. Why did it take him long to take his bath? Because he was in samadhi. What does samadhi mean? Calm. Right? Everyone is laughing now, correct? Samadhi means calm. And we see something quite opposite here. Right? So, it is very ironical to see him losing his union with Krishna, because samadhi means what? Calm, union with the Lord, samatha. Right? So, and we see exactly the opposite. We see him ignoring Krishna, because what did Lord Krishna say? Vaishnava aparad means what? Ignoring me. So on one hand you are concentrating on somebody, and on the other hand you are ignoring him. So it's very ironical here, right? So ignoring Krishna is actually opposed to the goal of meditation. What is the goal of meditation? Always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. And the behavior Vaishnava Aparad is all about ignoring Krishna. So it is clear that his samadhi, whatever so-called samadhi of Durvasa Muni, is incomplete. Or you can call it as a temporary samadhi state that he was in. So in Ashtanga Yoga parlance, such a samadhi is called as Savikalpa Samadhi. Savikalpa Samadhi. It is the stage prior to the next stage called as Nirvikalpa Samadhi. So he had yet not crossed his PhD stage in Samadhi. He was still, in a preparatory stage of Samadhi. And that is why we see that this happened. So it is said that Savikalpa Samadhi is a state of meditation in which the mind is focused on the object of Samadhi. It is not that the mind is not focused, it is focused on the object of Samadhi, but the mind still retains a connection to the external world and the ego, false ego. On one hand, it is focused on the object of Samadhi, but on the other hand, the mind is also retaining a connection with the external world owing to false ego. So in other words, the practitioner of Ashtanga Yoga at the stage of Savikalpa Samadhi remains aware of his or her identity in the outside world. So, now we see, therefore, what is happening to Durvasa Muni here, who is in this Samadhi. So, the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam mentions, it has already mentioned previously, that the problem with Durvasa Muni was, though he was in that state of temporary Samadhi, because he was in the state of temporary Samadhi, he could not give up his identity, external identity. And what was his strong identity of Durvasa Muni? What was his strongest identity? What was his strong identity? It was mentioned in the previous section. His strongest identity was that I am a Brahmana. I am a Brahmana. And this fellow, Ambarish Maharaj, after all, he is a lowly Kshatriya. So that was what was mentioned in the previous sections. So that is his identity. And from that lens of Varnashrama, he was seeing Ambarish Maharaj as a Kshatriya. Because at the end of the day, Varna, Ashrama, everything, they don't come under the realm of pure bhakti at all. If we hear the conversation between Ramananda Rai and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in fact, he starts with Varnashrama Dharma in the initial stages of the conversation. Mahaprabhu said, okay, tell me something, theek hai, chodo, tell me something different, tell me something higher. Don't talk Varnashrama Dharma, that's not highest. So the whole concept of Varnashrama Dharma actually has got nothing to do with pure bhakti at all. It is only a platform from which one can eventually come to the platform of pure bhakti. In fact, when I was in Mumbai recently, I was Hare Krishna. So I was talking to someone and I was asking about, the conversation was around the ability or inability of somebody to take to the sannyasa order. Okay, I was having this discussion with one very senior devotee. Very senior devotee. So the devotee mentioned to me that normally sannyasa is associated with spiritual advancement by default. And it is not untrue that most sannyasis are very spiritually advanced. That is not untrue. That is true. It's very true. But sannyasa itself is not a stamp of advancement. And the devotee again, it is something that we already know, but he kind of reinforced it in my mind, that Varnashrama Dharma actually has got nothing to do with pure devotion. That is why he told me that bhajan of Bhaktivedanta Thakur. Grihe thako, vane thako, sada hari bole thako. Therefore, it is not your ashrama which is directly an indicator of your advancement. Rather, to advance more by serving Krishna in a specific way, one can take certain attire. Just like, for example, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, he took the attire of sannyasi, though he didn't have to do that. And that is why Lord Nityananda broke the danda into three pieces. It's not relevant to you. Right? It is not relevant for a devotee of the Lord. What is relevant is the devotion within the heart, not which ashram one belongs to. So then he explained to me, then I asked him, then why do some people remain brahmacharis? Why do some people take sannyas? Why do some people take grihastha ashram? And then he was explaining to me that there are two types of dharma. One is swadharma, and there are two aspects. One is swadharma and one is swarupa. Swadharma and swarupa. So obviously I was asking the difference between swadharma and swarupa. So he told me, in that context, swadharma can mean many things in many contexts. Okay? But in this context, swadharma means the nature that we have acquired in this lifetime, the nature that we exhibit in this lifetime, based on the conditioning of so many lifetimes, the samskaras of so many lifetimes. That is our swadharma. So sometimes someone's swadharma may be that they talk very less. Somebody's swadharma means they are chapad, right? They talk a lot, right? Somebody's swadharma maybe they'll be very introvert. Somebody will be always reaching out to people and being with people all the time, right? They can't stay alone like that. So these are different swadharmas. So he was telling me, as much as you took to the grihastha ashram, and your personality type is to be with more people, and this person is a bit recluse. So he told me, my swadharma is that my acquired nature is that I like to be alone as much as possible. I like to be left alone, like that. So therefore, for me, my swadharma was that I don't need, company in my life to go ahead in Krishna consciousness. So I took to Brahmacharya ashram. It was my swadharma. It was my natural inclination. In fact, he said that if someone tells me you have to marry, then I run away from that person. Because I can't conceive myself with any other person in the house. Whereas your swadharma was that, you took to grihastha ashram, like that. So I was having this discussion. So I'm just remembering that here, that discussion when, Durvasa Muni is coming from that point of view that he is Brahman and Ambarish Maharaj is a Kshatriya. He is not coming from a devotional angle at all, right? In fact, of course, calling someone Brahman and Kshatriya is not wrong in itself, but Durvasa Muni's conversation is coming from a platform of false ego, which is why he has got this anger. His Swa-Vikalpa Samadhi, as we discussed earlier, meant that he was not in the state of final Samadhi, where actually one is very peaceful at heart. So he was still, his buddhi was still very chanchal. He was very restless. So therefore this irony is there. On one hand, he is in Samadhi when he is taking bath, and that's why he has got delayed to come to Ambarish Maharaj. On the other hand, his behavior shows no indications of Samadhi towards Ambarish Maharaj, right? Because he is coming, because he has not lost his identity as a Brahman. So he is showing discriminatory behavior towards, material discriminatory behavior towards Ambarish Maharaj as a Kshatriya. So he saw the externals of Ambarish Maharaj as a mundane king. And therefore when you see the externals, then you fail to see the advancement of a devotee. So he failed to see how advanced a devotee Ambarish Maharaj was. Now, there is another irony here. One irony obviously was that, that Samadhi and the behavior, which is completely ironical to it. Another irony is there, that even if Durvasa Muni truly identified himself as a Brahmana, and let us say Ambarish Maharaj hypothetically has committed an offense by taking a sip of water, right? Even then, Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 15, Text 40, the famous verse which comes in the Parshuram pastime, after the Parshuram pastime, it says, Shamaya rochate Lakshmir, Brahmi sauri yatha prabha, Shaminam asu bhagavams, Tushyate harir ishvaraha. What is the meaning of that? It is the duty of a Brahmana, to culture the quality of forgiveness. It is the duty of a Brahmana to culture the quality of forgiveness, for this quality of forgiveness is very dear to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then it is said, the Lord is very pleased with someone who is forgiving by nature. So even if Durvasa Muni would have truly identified himself as a Brahmana, What he should have done? He should have forgiven, Ambarish Maharaj for that offense. So, but he did not do it. So therefore, his behavior showed that he was a namesake Brahmana. For example, even I remember Anirudh Prabhu hammering this point many times, that whenever people get Brahman initiation, the first thought that comes to mind is what? Now I will go to the altar. Now I have adhikar to go to the altar. And then sometimes our mind is also like that. So therefore, along with Radha Vallabha, I will also give my darshan on the altar now to everyone who is sitting outside. And I will be the person who will throw that, what is that? I will decide which side of the section crowd I will throw to. It gives some sense of power, some sense of control is there then, right? Right? So, but Anirudh was telling that people do not remember that Brahmana means cultivating the qualities of a Brahmana. Actually, that is what is the goal of Brahmanical initiation. The quality of truthfulness, the quality of forgiveness, the quality of humility, the quality of engaging in patan patan, studying the scriptures even more, right? So this aspect is ignored. So when this aspect is ignored, and without this aspect, if only, we look at the other aspects, other privileges which we get, actually going to the altar is seva, definitely, there's no doubt about it. But it's also a privilege, is it not? To worship, to touch Radha Vallabha or Gaur Nitai with our own hands is a privilege, right? So sometimes, deity worship is seen more as a privilege that comes along with Brahminical initiation. But Brahminical initiation brings along with it a deep sense of responsibility to culture the quality of a Brahmana. And here in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam it is said that the topmost quality of a Brahmana is the quality of forgiveness. So sometimes, we may find it very difficult to forgive people who have offended us. Durvasa Muni here is finding it very difficult, and he is a Muni. What to speak of us? So, now this, again we go back to the core root cause of Vaishnava Aparadha, which we discussed in the earlier beginning of our class, from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam 3.16.2, where Lord himself in the Jai Vijay pastime says that Vaishnava Aparadha, the root cause of it is that forgetfulness of me. Ignoring me is the cause of Vaishnava Aparadha. So, when we ignore the Lord, now that the root cause is our false identity. What is our swarup? Jivera swarupa hoy. It is never said Jivera swabhava hoy nityara Krishna Das. It is said Jivera swarupa hoy. That's why the difference between swabhava and swarup. So, what is our swarup? Our swarup is being the servant of Krishna. That is our real identity. But even as practicing devotees, it becomes difficult for us to give up our false identities. Even in Bhakti Yoga. So it is not that only in Ashtanga Yoga it happens, in Bhakti Yoga it never happens. In Bhakti Yoga also we do offense to Vaishnavas. Even in Bhakti Yoga this can happen. So, and that too even after many years in devotional service, into devotional sadhana, we may be still susceptible or vulnerable to discriminatory behavior, even amongst the Vaishnava community. So we may distinguish based on someone's nationality, we may distinguish based on someone's gender, we may distinguish based on position, wealth, power, influence, and many such gross aspects. And of course, sometimes our discrimination may be a little bit more refined. It will still be a material discrimination, but it will be a little bit more refined, looking as if that discrimination is based on devotional principles. For example, discriminating someone based on whose disciple he or she is, right? So that is a very subtle way of, it's not that gross, it looks as if it is coming under bhakti, but it is actually nonsense. So I heard recently one devotee was there with me, supporting me when I was in Mumbai, and he was telling me that he had to relocate from Melbourne to one state of India, to one city in India, and where he is currently living, and he wants to come back to Melbourne. I asked him, what happened? You wanted to leave Melbourne, you went there, you came back. So he said that Prabhuji, everything is there. Temple is there, same Mangalarti is there, same Bhagavatam class is there, same Archana Paddhati is there, everything is same. Shayanarti is morning to evening, everything is same. Same book distribution is there, same Prasadam distribution is there, but there is immense discrimination based on whose disciple I am. There is a coterie of disciples of some spiritual master, and these disciples are making life hell for anyone else who is not that person's disciple. And therefore, Prabhuji, I can't live in that place. I'm just feeling not part of the group. Now, is this not Vaishnava Aparadh? Tell me. But it looks not as gross as what Durvasa Muni did. But you are actually telling a Vaishnava, get lost from this place because you don't belong here. Like that. So therefore, we have to guard ourselves against this offense as well. It can be deeply hurting to a person if the person believes that the only reason why this devotee is not giving me affection is because I am not the disciple of his or her spiritual master. So therefore, this discriminatory tendency can be there even in the realm of Bhakti Yoga also, as for practicing devotees. So we can condemn Durvasa Muni in this pastime. Till the cows come home, we can keep condemning Durvasa Muni, but this also gives us a window into our own hearts to see and an opportunity to introspect the small trace of Durvasa Muni that is there in our hearts also. So it's a good introspection. And I when I was studying this pastime, I was also thinking, do I have a Durvasa Muni inside? And yes, I also have, in many ways. I cannot say I don't have that mentality, but it gives us an opportunity. So while in India, I was doing some home programs when I was in India with some devotees who I often meet when I am in India. So in this home program, there was a lot of youth, that had come. This was in a suburb called Ghatkopar in Mumbai, and a lot of young people had come. So the people who I had an opportunity to cultivate when I was in India, they are disciples now of Radha Govind Swami Maharaj. So they brought in a lot of their neighbors from the building. They belong to a Gujarati community called as Bhanushalis. If you are a Gujarati, you will know. The Bhanushalis are a very close-knit community. And that whole building is called as Bhanushali Nagar. So everybody is Bhanushali there. Right? So therefore, they had called in, lot of their neighbors and their neighbors' children, youth, they had come. And given the recent political situation in India, suddenly everyone is talking about Sanatan Dharma. Right? Even more. Even the common man is talking about Sanatan Dharma. They may not have opened Bhagavad Gita, but everyone is very hurt by the Pahalgam attacks. So everyone is talking Sanatan Dharma now, every Hindu, right? We are Sanatani. So it's good that at least they are talking Sanatan Dharma. So this youth, they were there, and they also, and youth is typically, in youthful days, when anything like this happens, then somewhere that missionary zeal comes in you. So these people were very angry, and they were asking me about Sanatan Dharma. So one boy was sitting there, and he asked me a question, and he said that this question was burning him like anything. So he said, it's a burning question. I said, a burning question, jaldi pucho. So what is that burning question? He says, why did Gaurang Prabhu take to ISKCON? I said, do you know Gaurang Prabhu? He said, yes, I have heard his lectures. He is an IITian. I can understand other people taking to bhakti. Why IITians are taking to bhakti? I said, why should they not take to bhakti? I said, will they not be born? Will they not get disease, old age, death? He said, I understand, but why, still, they could have had a good life, corporate life, Here we struggle so hard, because apparently he had written the IIT JEE exam and did not clear it. And he had really studied for it very hard. So he said, when someone studies for it from grade 7 onwards, for this entrance exam, staying away from parents in Rajasthan, Kota, going to Bansal class, that class, this academy, that academy. Parents are also putting pressure. Whole prestige of society is dependent on child getting in, And then someone gets in and goes to the college, does well academically also, and then has an opportunity to go to an Ivy League American institute, and they come and join your Hare Krishna. Like that. So he said that why. So, and I obviously I would have found it very difficult to answer, but fortunately day before itself I had heard Gaurang Prabhu himself say why. Fortunately, Krishna saved me, So I was explaining to him that Gaurang Prabhu was mentioning in the class that, I will be very brief because I don't want to talk on that because that's not the theme of today's class, but again, the connection is identity, how we work from identity, Durvasa Muni working from his identity. So Gaurang Prabhu was saying that from his childhood he has seen several identities, the identity of being a son, the identity of being a student, etc., etc. And he told me that when I saw most IITians in the material world, what is the primary identity that carries them till the end, till their graveyard? What is the primary identity? That I am a IITian. So their whole thought process, who they associate with, how they behave, everything is very largely governed. I'm not saying this is true for all IITians, but that identity doesn't go at all. I am an IITian. And the world also is keeping on glorifying them. No, you're from IIT. And therefore everybody will keep on asking you this, right? And therefore people are only reinforcing your like for example, somebody comes and tells me, you're a Brahman initiated devotee. Every day morning if they keep on telling, then what happens? Yes, after some time what happens? That becomes our, everybody is telling me like that. सब लोग बोल रहे हैं मैं ब्राह्मण हूँ लगता है वाह mirror mirror tell me, yeah, looks like I'm a Brahmana. Like that. So it is being hammered, that identity. So he said that throughout life we go from one identity to another. The only time that the IITian may lose his Brahmana identity when he gets a Param Drishto Nivartante, higher taste of identity of being the CEO of some company. Correct, no? Then he will start saying, I am the CEO of this company. I have created this whole empire. So Gaurang Prabhu said that from early days I was wanting to work with an identity that is not temporary. He said that all these identities are temporary in nature. So after death, what happens to these identities? They go away. So who is the real I and what is my eternal identity? So he explained with this very simple principle as an answer to that question. And that is what I was also trying to explain to this person. So this identity can dictate our behaviors. And can shape our relationships even within a congregation as to what identity we carry. So the genesis of Vaishnava Aparadha, coming back to that, is to identify ourselves as something other than the servant of Lord Krishna. It is where our swabhava or conditioned nature takes over our swarupa or eternal nature. And that's why that conditioning leads to 6 types of Vaishnava Aparadhas, which are mentioned actually in Skanda Puran. The 6 types of Vaishnava Aparadhas are mentioned there. So what are the 6 types of Vaishnava Aparadhas? The first one is called as Hanti. Hanti means to kill. Comes from Hana. Hana means kill. No? To kill a devotee. That is obviously the highest type of Vaishnava Aparadha, to kill a devotee. Second is, after Hanti is Nindanti. What is Nindati? Nindati means Ninda Karna, blaspheming a devotee. Then, so Hanti, Nindati, why Dveshti? Dveshti comes from Raga and Dvesh, no? Hate, which is coming from envy of a Vaishnava. So envying a Vaishnava is also Vaishnava offense. Envying a Vaishnava, which means not accepting that the Lord wants to glorify that Vaishnava. I don't accept this. How can that devotee be glorified better than me? Because that is the Lord's plan to glorify. So therefore, the Lord, again coming back to that point, Lord says, because you forget me, you are ignoring me and what I desire for a Vaishnava. It's not what you desire for that Vaishnava, it is what I desire for that Vaishnava. So don't envy that Vaishnava. Then Vaishnavan nabhi nandati. Fails to offer obeisance to a Vaishnava when you see a Vaishnava. And then Krudyate. Krudyate means krodh, being angry with a Vaishnava. Na harsham darshane. Harsh means what? Harsha shoka. Harsh means that who gives you pleasure. So when you don't get pleasure when you see a Vaishnava, and then when you see a Vaishnava, and then the first thought that comes to you, I saw this devotee in the morning. Okay. I really wanted to avoid that person. From the parking lot itself I was thinking, I don't want to see. So already before entering we are committing a Vaishnava offense. Not joyful upon seeing a Vaishnava. And then Patanani Shat. That's how the verse ends. So Patanani Shat means, I don't know whether it's Patanani or Patanani. I'm thinking it may have something to do with Patal Lok or something like that. Okay. Gopal Prabhu, you know this verse? Okay. So I read it in English, therefore I don't know the Sanskrit, whether it's A or A or what. But it says Patanani Shat. So I'm thinking it may have something to do with lower. But then the translation says, these 6 offenses, actually it's a little bit more heavy language. These 6 classes of foolish men who blaspheme Vaishnavas go to the worst kind of hell along with generations of their ancestors. So that's a bit heavy. Ancestors are also pulled in into Vaishnava offense. Just like when someone does pure devotion, ancestors are also benefited by that. So that's what the Skanda Purana is saying. Now, so that is about Durvasa Muni. The second theme is from the reference point of Ambarish Maharaj and the high Vaishnav Sadachar that he is showing. So on one hand, we see the Vaishnav offensive mentality of Durvasa Muni. On the other hand, we see the response of Ambarish Maharaj in this extenuating circumstance. Right? So, as Maharaj, again going back to yesterday, Bhakti Purushottam Maharaj's class, Maharaj was explaining yesterday what was Ambarish Maharaj's response to this difficult situation that he was put into. Maharaj was explaining that Ambarish Maharaj, the first thing when somebody fights with us is what will we do? We give it back to them. Right? So, whereas Ambarish Maharaj did not counter curse. When Durvasa Muni cursed, Ambarish Maharaj did not counter curse. Did he defend himself? So Maharaj was explaining he did not even defend himself. Did he say, I am not going to defend myself, I'll just seek the protection from the Lord? Did he seek protection from the Lord? He did not even do that. He did not counter curse. He did not defend himself. Neither he sought protection from the Lord. Neither did he say that I forgive him for he knows not what he is doing. He didn't make any such statements also. Correct. So he did not forgive Durvasa Muni. I'll come to that. Don't misunderstand. Don't jump to conclusion because I said this. He did not forgive Durvasa Muni. Because the culture of the quality of a Brahmana is to forgive. But Ambarish Maharaj did not forgive Durvasa Muni. Sometimes as devotees, many times we may not forgive. Correct? That is also possible, right? I don't want to say hands up if you are still hurt with the behavior of a Vaishnava, because some hands may go up. Right? So we all have some difficult interaction with some Vaishnava which is somewhere stored inside. So even if I ask, remember that it will that monkey will come out immediately because it is still inside the heart. It will come out. Right? So as devotees, sometimes, many times we are not able to forgive. But sometimes in our anger we may say, Prabhuji, I forgive you. But Bhagavan aapko maaf nahi karega. That is possible, no? मैं तो माफ कर दूंगा प्रभु जी, मैं तो गिरा हुआ डिवोटी हूँ. I am just a fallen servant, Prabhu. Krishna will not pardon you. Okay? Because Prabhu, I am also devotee, no? Right? So Ambarish Maharaj did not go through this syndrome. Of course, some very shastric devotee, sometimes too much education can come in can impact our behavior. He'll say, Prabhuji, I will pardon you, but the dust of my lotus feet will not. So sometimes that thought may also come. Right? So now Ambarish Maharaj did not even fall in this category of forgiving Durvasa Muni. There was no question of forgiveness. Because forgiveness, the question of forgiveness will come only when you have taken an offense. When you believe somebody has offended you. That's why there was no question of forgiveness. Ambarish Maharaj was so humble, he never took the offense in the first place, right? So it is something very high level. It's beyond conception, what Ambarish Maharaj's behavior was. So, question of forgiveness will come only when we take offense or contemplate with a higher consciousness. Sometimes when somebody is hurt us, we want to give back to them, but we say that no. I have studied Bhagavatam, I have studied Chaitanya Charitamrita, I have to now rise above. And then we put all our efforts to not to give back to them, whatever they gave us, right? And then we respond with, "Theek hai, I'm deciding, I'm going to forgive. I have got Brahman initiation recently, so I will culture the quality of forgiveness and I will forgive." Like that. Whereas Ambarish Maharaj never took offense in the first place. That shows that Ambarish Maharaj was not a touch me not devotee. Ambarish Maharaj did not go through the मुझे बुरा लग गया syndrome. मुझे बहुत बुरा लगा माता जी. उन्होंने ऐसा बोला. Like that. He was not a बुरा लग गया devotee. Sometimes we may say, when we are hurt, we may say, no, somebody may come and tell us, Prabhu, छोड़ दो ना, जाने दो ना. नहीं, whatever is Prabhuji, I have forgotten him, but Prabhu, जो भी है बुरा लगा Prabhu. ऐसा नहीं बोलना चाहिए था मुझे. So we wallow in that. And here it is not that Durvasa Muni actually only insulted him. He actually unleashed a demon on him to kill him. And then Ambarish Maharaj is not taking any offense. So this is beyond conception. I was meditating on this. This is beyond at least my conception. This level of not even taking the offense. On the other hand, Ambarish Maharaj is feeling compassion for Durvasa Muni. And that is what these prayers are all about. This is Ambarish Maharaj compassion. Now why will Ambarish Maharaj suddenly play to Sudarshan Chakra? Because of his compassion for what? Durvasa Muni. The terror that Sudarshan Chakra has unleashed on Durvasa Muni and the agony which Durvasa Muni is going through. So, the quality of a Vaishnava, what is one of the top qualities of a Vaishnava? Para Dukkha Dukhi. A Vaishnava cannot see the suffering of others. So, Ambarish Maharaj is not able to bear the suffering of Durvasa Muni. Durvasa Muni is running here and there. Right? So, therefore, that is where his prayers, which is today's verse, as well as the subsequent verse, that shows the sublime character of Ambarish Maharaj. Now, one may wonder, how is Ambarish Maharaj like that? Why is Ambarish Maharaj like that? Where is he deriving all these characteristics from? So, what is Ambarish Maharaj known for? For example, Sukadeva Goswami is known for what? For Kirtanam. Parikshit Maharaj is known for? Prahalad Maharaj is known for? Prathu Maharaj is known for? Atma Nivedanam is Bali Maharaj. Lakshmi is Pada Sevanam. But who is everything? All-rounder. There is only one all-rounder. That is Ambarish Maharaj. Navavida Bhakti. In the last, you must have discussed in the previous month, right? Savai Manak Krishna Padara Vindayor. In that verse. That is over, no? Already. So in that verse we saw, he epitomizes Navavida Bhakti to its full. And therefore all the 9 angas of Bhakti, when practiced seriously, brings one to this platform of not even taking offense. Forget about invoking your Brahminical qualities and therefore forgiving somebody for the offense. So this level of humility. Trinadapi sunichena taroriva saishnuna amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. So in that mood of compassion, he is now urging Sudarshan Chakra, He's trying to appease Sudarshan Chakra not for his sake, but he's praying so that Sudarshan Chakra can then be more, become Thanda and protect Durvasa Muni. Of course, being a devotee, his prayers are spontaneous because his love for Sudarshan Chakra, which is non-different from Krishna, is also coming through. So the last part is the potency of, so that's the second part from the Ambarish Maharaj point of view. Then the Sudarshan Chakra, the potency of Sudarshan Chakra. So Srila Prabhupada defines Sudarshana as what? In the purport as auspicious vision. Sudarshana means Sudarshan, auspicious vision. So Sudarshan is also the disc of Lord Vishnu, who holds it on his right index finger. So we see Sudarshana rotating in a clockwise direction. And usually Sudarshana is invoked for protecting righteousness and destroying evil. That is the significance of Sudarshan Chakra. And it is perpetually moving in the hand of Lord Krishna, and also Sudarshana stands as a symbol of the wheel of time. So it has got many symbolic representations. It is said that the Sudarshan Chakra travels faster than the speed of mind, and the only way to stop the Sudarshan Chakra is what? By surrendering to it. But just with folded hands you surrender and it will stop. Otherwise there is no other way it can stop chasing you, right? So in our context, that surrender implies Durvasa Muni's sincere repentance for his mistake and apologizing to Ambarish Maharaj. Okay. And not only just apologizing to Ambarish Maharaj, but also he realizing within his heart the true exalted status of Ambarish Maharaj. That is more important. Not just apologizing to Ambarish Maharaj out of lip service, but understanding that status. And that is the auspicious vision from Sudarshan prayers which Durvasa Muni should be getting. The most auspicious vision, or Shastra Chakshu, if you say, is being able to realize the exalted nature of Vaishnavas, being able to see all Vaishnavas as higher to ourselves, seeing oneself lower than, feeling oneself lower to others. Actually that vision when we get, that is very auspicious for our entire life. So it now, from the point of view of Sudarshan Chakra also, why did Sudarshan Chakra pardon? Again Maharaj had explained this very beautifully in the class before yesterday's class. So Maharaj was saying that it is not, I'm just going to tell it in a different language, what Maharaj said. Maharaj said that Sudarshan Chakra, what was Maharaj's sentence? Maharaj said that Sudarshan Chakra did not go and harm Durvasa Muni, right? Why? Because of Ambarish Maharaj's desire, right? So it was not Durvasa Muni's repentance that saved him from the Sudarshan Chakra. It is actually Ambarish Maharaj's desire that he not be harmed. Because Maharaj was explaining, if you remember in that class, that Lord will never go against the heart of a Vaishnava. And the heart of Ambarish Maharaj was that Durvasa Muni not be harmed, right? So the unalloyed love of Ambarish Maharaj towards Lord Krishna subdued the fire of Sudarshan Chakra also. That again shows the exalted nature of Ambarish Maharaj. So in our Sampradaya, normally what I have seen is Lord Sudarshan Chakra is, do we worship Sudarshan Chakra? Yes. Where do we worship Sudarshan Chakra? Lord Jagannath. Very nice. So we worship next to Lord Jagannath. But in other Sampradayas, Sudarshan Chakra is worshipped independently also. In fact, in the Sri Sampradaya, Sudarshan Chakra is personified as Chakrat Alvar. Chakrat Alvar. There are many Alvars, personalities. The paraphernalia of the Lord came as many saintly personalities in the Sri Sampradaya. So, Chakrat Alvar or Sudarshana Alvar is directly worshipped as the Lord here, though they call as Chakrat Alvar. So, devotees in South India, they not only worship Chakra Talwar, but also in India we see many devotees, especially more South Indians, they do this. They do what is called a Sudarshana home in their house. Whenever they are faced with some difficulty in the family, they invoke Sudarshana's, Lord Sudarshana's blessings by doing Sudarshana home in their house. And interestingly, many Vaishnava temples consider this Chakrat Alwar as a Navagraha deity also. In Shaivite culture, normally if you go to a Shiva temple, right, you will see Navagrahas and then Lord, Sun God in between. So in Vaishnava temples, Chakra Talwar is considered as the one of the principal of the Navagrahas, like that. So here we see, therefore, Ambarish Maharaj now is praying, and these prayers will continue. In the ensuing verses, you will see more and more sweet prayers that Ambarish Maharaj is offering out of his loving ecstasy towards Lord Vishnu, Lord Narayana, Lord Krishna. And you will eventually see how this Sudarshan Chakra upholds the desire of this pure Vaishnava, Ambarish Maharaj. So I'll stop here. We have 6 minutes more. If any questions, comments, corrections, then we can have now. Ask me an easy question. I'll pray to Sudarshan Chakra.
Thank you, Prabhu, and welcome back. Prabhu, we know that Krishna can remove the contaminations from our heart. But for the offenses that we have already committed to the devotees, sometimes we're unsure like who we actually committed. Speaking for myself, I don't know whether I committed an offense to this devotee. So if the offender seriously confesses to the Lord for the offenses that they have done, will Lord Krishna intervene? Because in this pastime, Lord Vishnu doesn't intervene. He just sends Durvasa Muni back to Ambarish Maharaj to ask for forgiveness.
Okay. So, your question is, if we have inadvertently offended some Vaishnavas and we are not aware of that, okay, that's just because we are all carrying our own swabhavas from previous lifetime, and because of our swabhava, we may have offended some devotees and we don't know who we have offended. Maybe because that devotee was also in Ambarish Maharaj consciousness, Some devotees could be. They never took offense and therefore they never told us that you have offended me. Or that devotee took the offense and still didn't tell us because they forgave us for that offense. Or that devotee has not forgiven us, which is what is our worry right now. Right? But they never told us. Right? So sometimes it's easier, devotees come and tell us that, I felt very offended by your behavior. So your question is, what happens in that case? Because we don't even know who is feeling hurt by our thoughts, deeds and actions. So, it is mentioned in the scriptures that the holy name, there is nothing actually in this world, there is no offense so big even that the holy name cannot undo, right? Because holy name is Lord Krishna himself, and nothing is impossible for Lord Krishna. Nama Chintamani Krishnas Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Purna Shuddho Nitya Mukto Abhinnatvam Nama Naminaha. So the holy name is non-different from Lord Krishna. And Lord Krishna is all powerful. He is Swarat. He is completely independent of any phenomenon, be it material or spiritual. Because he is the origin, genesis of spirituality. Right? So therefore, simply by chanting, by the process of chanting Shuddhanam, one can eradicate all offenses. Now the reason why offenses still chase us, despite we even trying to chant sincerely, is because two reasons for that. Okay. Obviously, one is we may be committing many other offenses which are not pertaining to Vaishnava Aparadh, because there are many other offenses, no? For example, maintaining material attachments even after hearing so many instructions in this matter. We may be doing that offense. But another offense that could be there in a devotee is the entitlement mentality which we get as devotees, which is committing offenses on the strength of the holy name of the Lord. Just because I'm a devotee, that's okay, I committed offense, but after all I'm a nice devotee. I'm following so many nice devotional practices, therefore it is okay if I commit, because after all I'm a so-and-so devotee, like that. So that is something that we have to be careful about, right? We need not worry about inadvertently what we have committed in the past, because the holy name will, and Krishna knows the heart. As you rightly said, when you are praying to the Lord, saying that, Lord, please, I don't know who I have offended, so He is hearing you. So definitely He will reciprocate with that sincerity. But it doesn't mean that if we have prayed to the Lord sincerely once for whatever past offenses that we committed, that material nature will not still challenge us in future also. Because as a devotee advances in bhakti, that higher and higher challenges are going to come in our life. Some challenges may be gross, some challenges will be subtle. Gross may come in the form of very difficult situations that may come in life for us. Because the path to Godhead definitely, again when I was in India, as much as I associated with a lot of devotees, very exalted personalities, one thing that was told to me very clearly, that the path back to Godhead is not going to be easy for devotees. We are not going to just chant and be happy, eat prasadam and dance your way back to Godhead. That is okay, but that's not exactly like that. So devotees are going to, get subject to a lot of difficulties. So therefore, and that will be gross difficulties, or it could be subtle. Maya will come in some form. Maya comes in various forms. Maya comes in the form of glorification many times, where everyone is telling, oh, how nice devotee you are. How knowledgeable, how disciplined, you are an example to all of us. All these glories which are given to us by congregation. So when it goes to our head, and that is how Maya will attack, then we slowly start forgetting our identity as servant of Krishna, where we started from originally in our bhakti. So yes, we have to guard ourselves. That is why it said, a devotee, towards the end, what do we say? Every devotee has to closely guard ourselves, against these offenses, so as to achieve the desired success, which is Krishna Prem. So sometimes, many times, we are so used to saying this that we forget only what we are talking. Correct, no? We forget what we are saying. Like how many times have we said Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami, and we are only singing it, but we are not even contemplating on meaning of what I am singing, right? It happens with me also. I am not saying that I am Doodh ka dhula hua, it happens to me with all the time, right? I have done an entire prayer chanting. We have done an entire chanting 16 rounds and we have not even remembered the Lord. Right? Only chanting is over, that's all. Lord was never remembered. Correct. So that is more important in my view. So we should not worry about things which are no longer in our sphere of influence. But we can think about what is in our sphere of influence. And that is what is sincerity. Sincerity is nothing but doing something about things which are in our sphere of influence and then leaving the rest to prayer. That's my response. Does it help?
Thank you.
Okay. Any other question or comments? Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
You mentioned that someone who is doing devotional service, her ancestors also get eliminated.
Liberated.
Liberated.
Yes.
And someone who is doing Vaishnava Aparadh, it impacts their ancestors also. So which one is more, which sentence is more powerful? Like how can I relate to this? Like I'm doing devotion, let's say I'm doing devotional service, and at the same time I may do some Vaishnava Aparadh. So in this case my ancestor will be liberated, or they will go to
this only Chitragupt can answer.
Sorry.
Because he only gives a debit and credit of whatever good we did and whatever offenses we have committed. But yeah, so obviously the Puranas are saying that. So Puranas are true. Whatever the scriptures are saying, we have to accept whatever the scriptures are saying. So it is true that if we do Vaishnava Aparadh, if the scriptures are saying they will impact our ancestors, yes, they could impact our ancestors. So, but rather than worrying about, nullifying the impact of that. See, one thing is there. One good deed cannot nullify a bad deed. Okay. For example, I cannot go and slap a devotee and then, take the devotee out for ice cream. Yeah. So therefore, one good deed cannot compensate. That's not the way the law of karma works. So the law of karma works, for every action there is so whatever good devotional services that we do, our ancestors will, since you are talking in the context of ancestors, they will benefit. But whatever apradhas we do, because the scriptures are saying they will be impacted. So there is little point in worrying about, where the balance sheet is right now, in favor of tilting towards liabilities or assets or whatever. So don't worry about that, right? Rather than that, we just focus on this instruction and try to move on by being very careful not to commit Vaishnava aparadhas. We can never say that from tomorrow I will not commit any Vaishnava aparadhas. As Sivya was mentioning, we can inadvertently do that also. So, yeah. So, we cannot even over focus on Vaishnava aparadha. Otherwise we'll become aparadh conscious more than Krishna consciousness. So therefore we just continue the basic process of trying to chant attentively, try to have harmonious relationship with devotees. Again, this sutra comes to my mind every time I say this. There are 4 sutras that Swami Bhagavan Keshav Maharaj said. It just keeps on resonating in my mind. Live without pretending, speak without offending, hear without defending, and love without expecting. So again, in this context, hear without defending and speak without offending. If we do that part, then quite a lot of Vaishnava aparadhas will be saved. But having said that, I'll tell you something interesting which I learnt in this trip when I went to Mumbai. There is no harm in also learning some techniques which the outside world has given. There are many things which we can learn. We should not brush off all knowledge as, karmi knowledge. After all, don't we travel in aircrafts? We don't say, karmis have created aircraft. I will not travel in aircraft. They are all materialists. They only exist for money. I will not sit in aircraft. No, we still travel, right? We use it, as Prabhupada said, ajagara vritti. Use it in Krishna's service. So, there is a very good book that I have been given by a devotee. Okay, and this is being taught today even in GEV. Govardhan Eco Village, all of you. These courses are being conducted in the Vaishnava community big time. It's called as NVC. Has anyone heard of NVC? NVC means non-violent communication. There are books which are written based on based on so much of research on what kind of communication breaks a relationship. There is one very famous author called Stephen Covey who talked about 7 habits of highly effective people. And in one of the habit, he calls it as the 5th habit. The 5th habit is seek to understand before you seek to be understood. So this is one of the core principles from which a lot of non-violent communication has been derived. For example, I'll not elaborate because we don't have time now, but one of the simple aspects of non-violent communication is whenever someone is angry with us, the first step is to simply listen. And that is what Swami Bhagavan Keshav Maharaj said, hear without defending. The moment someone starts, Mataji, yesterday, whatever you spoke, Mataji, that's what we start. We don't even hear what they are talking, first of all. And they said, आपने बोला, मुझे थोड़ा बुरा लगा, माताजी मेरा इंटेंशन ऐसा नहीं था, माताजी आप तो समझना चाहिए ना आपको. We start like this. Immediately we start like this. And then we will find, and then they will stop, we will shut them up with our defense. That we have not even heard what did we say that they felt bad about. In this conversation, when did I ask that person? What did you feel bad about? Okay. So we never tried to understand their need. We are not even understanding where they felt bad. So the first habit of non-violent communication is what? One of the habits is what? Hear without defending. So these skills are being taught because, see, today even in the Vaishnava community, it is not that Ram Rajya is prevailing. Correct? There is a lot of things that are happening also, conflicts that happen across devotees. Now, how to handle it? So that's why many brahmacharis have taken it and grihasthas have taken it their responsibility to pick up these skills and teach. When you learn these skills and when you start practicing, we may fail, but soon when we gradually start practicing a better way of responding, then it will become a habit for us, right? And gradually our Vaishnava offenses will go down. So one is hearing instructions on not to do Vaishnava offenses, and other is hearing techniques by which we can develop habits of non-violent communication. So, yeah.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Okay. Prasadam is ready.
Hare Krishna. One snippet of sharing and one question.
Yes, sure.
Okay. So because the topic here is offense, I was reading Prabhupada's letters. My Guru Maharaj also narrated this because Prabhupada wanted to publish Bhaktivedanta Thakur's books, many of Bhaktivedanta Thakur's books. So when he came back, the Gaudiya Math, he brought a group of devotees. My Guru Maharaj was part of it. Jayapatak Maharaj was also there, and a few other devotees at the time. So they're all going to Gaudiya Math, asking for permission. You please give all Bhaktivedanta Thakur's manuscript. I will print, and I'll give Lakshmi also, whatever it comes, we can do that. So they refused to give. So he's dealing with his god brothers who are much older and much senior in many aspects. And Prabhupada is a little upset. They are not cooperating with Prabhupada. And he said, why you are not allowing me to serve Bhaktivedanta Thakur? So the tone was angry tone. He asked, and they left. Then coming back, Prabhupada is talking to whoever he brought as his disciples. Do you think I was offensive towards my elder senior god brothers? He's asking this question. And no one dared to answer. And Prabhupada said, no, I was not offensive. Why? Because I asked a question. I simply asked, why you are not allowing me to serve Bhaktivedanta Thakur? So many things, but my understanding is, Mahajana Yena Sankatastapanta. What has Prabhupada done? What has previous acharyas have done? So if we take that inspiration, and my Guru Maharaj often says, Krishna will give you the intelligence, how to act. So, like Prabhupada says, if I think that I cannot, when we walk, obviously we might have stepped on some insects. I don't know, millions of insects I must have stepped, so how? So Krishna will square it up eventually. Yeah. So that's the sharing.
So it's interesting that you said that, because that reminds me of one thing that I learned in, I'm still reading the book, but one of the aspects of non-violent communication is observation and evaluation. Okay. So what Prabhupada, when we evaluate, then we become judgmental, right? So Prabhupada was not judgmental. That's why Prabhupada said, I only observed that they are not willing to help. And that's why I asked the question. So mere observation is not, observation and asking a question doesn't constitute Vaishnava offense. So I just related that point. Yeah. Prabhupada did not judge them, saying that, you people are rascals, you people don't want to serve. He didn't judge them, but he just asked them a question, why are you not allowing me to serve, Bhaktivedanta Thakur? Yeah. So interesting.
So question is, taking this Durvasa Muni and Ambrish Maharaj incident, the curse was there. So we've seen so many times great devotees, great personalities have cursed. So why this curse has to be there then? Why this aspect of curse has to be there at all?
Okay, why Durvasa Muni is Durvasa?
Not just Durvasa Muni at all. We've seen Narada Muni has cursed. So many other great personalities have cursed. And of course, we say the curse, there is a hidden boon also. So why this aspect of curse is there if there's...
Yeah. So my understanding, there are two types of curses that are there. There are certain curses which are part of the Lord's Leela. That's because that curse will eventually bring something more auspicious in the life of that devotee. So that is one aspect why curses exist. The other aspect of curse is, and probably you already know the answer, but the other aspect of curse is someone who is being subjugated by the mode of passion and ignorance. So when devotees come under even in practicing munis, rishis, they also may be subjected to the mode of passion and ignorance. Because only one who is sagunan samati tetan, who is beyond the three modes of material nature, will not have a tendency to curse out of material anger. But even rishis and munis, because they may not be necessarily pure devotees of the Lord, they will also be subjected to the tapatraya. So therefore, they may exhibit circumstantial behavior, though normally they may not be cursing. Okay, normally they may be sober, but circumstantial behavior means what? That in a situation, the three modes have overwhelmed you more than your transcendental realization. So circumstantial behavior, and we can see many devotees also go through circumstantial behavior. Normally the devotee will not be like that, but on a particular day, maybe they are having a bad day and they may say something which is very atypical of that devotee. So yeah, circumstantial behavior under the subjugation of three modes, that could be the plausible cause. Okay, Hare Krishna, I'll stop here because time is, we are already overboard. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grantharaj Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai. Samaved Bhaktivedanta ki jai.